Natural selection is a process where organisms better adapted to their environment survive and produce more offspring, thus creating a group or species of better adapted organisms. Darwin, the main man behind this revolutionary theory, hypothesized that the various types of Galapagos finches were all an offspring from one original finch, concluding that natural selection requires the passing on of genes. But my curiosity lies in the modern era of humans in the Western world. We have gone above and beyond in mastering the art of giving humans the opportunity to reproduce, despite their genetically unfit and hereditary characteristics. An example of this is poor eyesight and asthma, which can all be managed. So I did a bit of digging, forums, studies, scientific journals, and it's not a surprise that various scientists and professors and students all have their own opinions. So I'm here to share different theories about this controversial topic. John Hawks, an anthropologist and geneticist at the University of Wisconsin, believes that we have indeed fashioned ourselves this lifestyle that's at odds with what natural selection has given us. Take the gene mutation PKU, for example. People with the disease can't break down the amino acid phenylalanine, a problem that leads to severe cognitive and neurological damage. It is inherited as an autosomal recessive trait, so when two carriers conceive a child, there is a 25% chance that the baby will also have PKU. Fortunately, if diagnosed early after birth, PKU is manageable. This is why there's a genetic screening test for PKU that all babies in North America must get after birth. Treatment includes maintaining a diet with low levels of phenylalanine. However, managing this disease does not get rid of the mutation from the gene pool, so its prevalence among the human population is quite significant despite its harmful effects. In North America, PKU affects roughly 1 in every 12,000 newly born babies. If we are to effectively analyze the effects of modern medicine on natural selection, we must understand and acknowledge that hundreds of genes have been changing in the genome over the past 10,000 years. Scientists can see how much we've evolved apart from each other since our species first appeared by comparing genes around the world. Many anthropologists contend that human evolution has even accelerated in the last 10,000 years. Few mutations provide advantages that are passed on to future generations, but if they are particularly beneficial, they spread throughout the population. An example is how our metabolism has changed to allow us to digest some things that we could not in the past, the most obvious being lactose, the sugar in milk. Some 10,000 years ago, before humans started farming, no one could digest this beyond a few years of age, but today, the rate of lactose tolerance in different parts of the world is a clue to the different histories of farming across the globe. While 99% of Irish people are lactose tolerant, in Southeast Asia, where there is little tradition of dairy farming, the figure is less than 5%. So this is an example of the pressures that lead to evolution by natural selection have continued despite technological advance. The massive AIDS epidemic that's going rampant in South Africa, for example, is almost certainly causing gene variants that protect against HIV. In Northern Europeans, when an individual is found with 2 copies of a mutant gene, it's called CCR5, and they're resistant to HIV infection. Researchers believe that this mutation was selected for in the last 700 years by another epidemic disease with a strong selective pressure. Who's to say a similar occurrence won't happen in South Africa? Finally, we have the theory that in the modern era, it is only our mind, rationale, and brain function that is and will only be the valued characteristic among the human race. That will be what determines the surviving fittest. That it's no longer about the physically fit, but about the mental capacity. Opponents of this argue that medical advancement is in itself an adaptability on behalf of the human race. When nature tries to kill off the physically unfit, human innovation overcomes the obstacle, proving that innovation is an adaptable trait of humans. So whatever the components of human evolution and natural selection, we still have scientists like Hawks who concede that evolution has been accelerating by about 100-fold, a key reason being the enormous growth of the world's population, which multiplies the size of the gene pool that is available to launch new varieties of genes, leading to the conclusion that acceleration will probably continue as our population growth rises. So maybe technology in modern medicine may have limited the impact of evolutionary forces such as predation and disease, but it does not necessarily mean that humans have stopped evolving. The direction of our future evolution is likely to be driven as much by us as it is by nature. It may be less dependent on how the world changes us, but even more so on our continuous and growing ability to change our world. So perhaps we should coin a new term: artificial selection, as this is what seems to be transgressing in the least developed countries, and at least the developed countries. We're moving towards a time when we can routinely repair, remove, or even insert genes into our gene pool.